Well, it's a special day, ladies and gentlemen. It is a day to celebrate love. Do you know where Valentine's Day came from?
I know I've probably heard it over the years, but I've
Well,
forgotten.
there was a man in Rome whose name was Valentine, and he was in prison for his faith. He was a Christian.
Really?
And he wrote a letter to his wife, and he said, "Your Valentine."
Is that true?
It's true. You don't think I would sit here and
Not that I
mislead
doubt you,
you?
Pat, but
But that's where it came from. You're Valentine. And that's where Valentine's Day celebrates a Christian martyr in Rome who was executed for his faith. So with all that in mind, we're going to tell you how you can live longer, healthier, if you have love in your heart. But they ain't got no love in Washington. The Republicans in Congress are attacking President Obama's new budget. And some of his most vocal critics include Tea Party members.
that's right. They want to cut spending and balance the budget. Two great ideas. But do they have enough support to accomplish their goals? John Jessup looks at the influence of Tea Party lawmakers after a year on Capitol Hill.
It takes more than 2,000 pages to outline and explain President Obama's proposed budget for 2013. But Republicans are keeping count of another number, 1,021 days since the Senate produced a budget as required by law. At a press conference to mark the 1,000th day without a budget, Ohio Congressman Steve Stivers compared the budget to his baby girl.
My daughter Sarah, who's 868 days old, in fact, all of her life, there's not been a budget in this country.
Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid says the Senate won't take up a budget again this year. He blames Republicans for the gridlock in Washington, singling out the Tea Party as too extreme. But they say that label belongs to him.
What's extreme is how Washington, D.C. operates, how Harry Reid operates.
Tom Whitmore leads a Tea Party group in the nation's capital. While he had hoped to see more of the Tea Party's agenda become law, he doesn't hold it against the new members of Congress representing their agenda.
Tea Party members haven't been able to move, real far with the bills themselves, but where they've stood on legislation and issues that have been out there, they've done outstanding.
I think the Tea Party Congress has had an enormous influence on the direction of this town.
Political observers like George Washington University professor Christopher Arterton says their main accomplishment has been shifting Washington's obsession with spending to spending cuts, a top priority on their agenda.
There's a resolve within the Republican Party generally that they need to stop the drift of the Obama administration, but the steel in that resolve, it comes through the Tea Party.
Given their influence and the Republican majority in the House, many thought that the influx of Tea Party lawmakers would have a greater impact.
Of course you're not satisfied, but understand this, you're not going to turn things in Washington, D.C. on a dime. But as I said, the conversation has changed.
Frustrated by their lack of progress on the legislative front and a decline in public opinion, freshman lawmakers are now on the offensive, aiming their criticism not only at Democrats, but Republican leaders here on Capitol Hill and how things are done in the Beltway.
This is the age of the internet. We shouldn't have to wait till a few hours before a vote to actually find out what we're voting on.
Senator Jim DeMint, who runs the Tea Party caucus in the Senate, says Tea Party lawmakers won't be able to pass their agenda without more partners in the upper chamber. And it's his goal to get that done.
It took more than one election to get us in this hole. It's going to take more than one to get out. And that's where I'm trying to elect some conservatives to the Senate.
DeMint and others believe if they're successful, they'll finally have the leverage to adopt a responsible, fiscally conservative budget and make sure that Washington lives within it. John Jessup, CBN News, Capitol Hill.
Ladies and gentlemen, aren't you somewhat appalled that the leader of the United States Senate, Harry Reid, has said, "I will not bring a budget up for a vote this year"? 1,000 days and they haven't had a budget. The United States has gone along from crisis to crisis with no budget. Why? There is no leadership in the White House, and Harry Reid knows that that nonsense that was brought forth from the White House would not even stand a chance of being passed by a Democrat-controlled Congress. So the president sends his chief of staff, former OMB budget director, sends him up to the talk shows, and he made the astounding statement that it takes 60 votes in the Senate to pass a budget.
Well, I mean, the machine is the machine.
Well, I mean, it takes 51 votes. It's a simple majority. I mean, this is